Are you feeling lost when trying to speak English? Have you ever been in a situation where you can't seem to find the right word or phrase in a specific context? You want to speak English, but you just don't know what to say, or the words don't come out right. Don't worry, it happens to everyone. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Everyday English Practice. It's common to feel worried about joining a conversation in English, as most people are afraid of making mistakes. However, do you know that there are different strategies to help you communicate effectively? In today's video, we'll explore fun, practical tips and phrases to boost your confidence and get you unstuck in no time. But before we get to all of that, why getting stuck in a conversation in English is scary? Exactly. Getting stuck in a conversation can feel scary for a few reasons. First, when we want to speak English, we want to be understood. We want to connect and share our ideas. But if we get stuck, we might worry that the other person won't understand us. We might also feel embarrassed or frustrated if we can't find the right words. It's like trying to solve a puzzle, but the pieces just don't seem to fit. Imagine this, you're talking to someone in English, and suddenly, you can't seem to remember an English word for what you want to talk about. What would you do? Will you stop the conversation and go search for the word in a dictionary? That's not really an ideal way to handle the situation, don't you think? The first phrase you would want to make use of in this situation is, "It's on the tip of my tongue." This is a great way to express that feeling when you know exactly what the word is, but somehow at the moment of speaking, you can't just recall it. For example, a Spanish friend of yours is asking you what remo means in English. You know for sure that you've learned it, but you just can't remember. It's on the tip of my tongue. Pay attention to the pronunciation here. It's the contracted form of it is, and the two words it's and on are linked together in spoken English. It's on, it's on. Similarly, we have tip of, tip of, tip of. It's on the tip of my tongue. Let's listen to some examples from real conversations.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
It's on the tip of my tongue. It's on the tip of my tongue.
Or you can also use the next phrase. It slipped my mind. You can use this phrase when you completely forgot something you should have remembered. It's like the information slipped out of your mind accidentally. It slipped my mind. It slipped my mind.
It slipped my mind. It slipped my mind.
I should have told you earlier, it slipped my mind. I should have told you earlier, it slipped my mind.
The next expression we have here is, "What's that word again?" This one is used when you've forgotten a specific word and are politely asking the other person to remind you. Remember, asking questions and making contact with the other person or people in the conversation is also a great way to keep the conversation going. Again, notice how the words word and again are linked together. What's that word again? What's that word again?
What's that word again? What's that word again? What's that word again?
Next, we have, "I lost my train of thought." You can make use of this expression when you are talking about something, but you got distracted or forgot where you were in your conversation. It signals others that you need a moment to get back on track. Now, pay attention to how the words train and of are linked together in fast speech. Train of, train of, train of. I lost my train of thought.
I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought.
I lost my train of thought. I lost my train of thought.
Another handy expression here is, "My mind went blank." This can be used when you suddenly forget everything you were going to say or think. It's like your mind became completely empty for a moment.
My mind went blank. My mind went blank.
My mind went blank again. My mind went blank again.
Now, how about when you don't know what to say? Imagine you're listening to a friend talk about a new hobby they picked up. Saying, "That's interesting," lets them know you're paying attention and find their experience intriguing. It's a good starting point for further discussion. That's interesting. That's interesting.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
The next expression we have here is, "Can you explain more?" This phrase shows a deeper level of interest and encourages the other person to provide more details or clarify their point. Let's say your friend mentions they recently traveled to a new country. Saying, "Can you explain more?" invites them to delve deeper into their experience. They might tell you about the culture, specific places they visited, or their favorite parts of the trip. Can you explain more? Can you explain more? Similarly, the next expression asks the other person to expand on their idea or provide additional information. It's slightly more formal than the one we just went over. Can you elaborate on that? Can you elaborate on that?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Can you elaborate on that, please? Can you elaborate on that, please?
Next up, we have, I've never thought about that. How about you? This phrase shows you're surprised or intrigued by the other person's idea. Perhaps you're talking to a coworker about a new strategy for a project. They suggest an approach you hadn't considered before. Notice how the words how and about are linked together. How about? How about? This is how words ending in vowel sounds are linked. If you're interested in finding more about how linking works in spoken English, leave us a comment in the comments section below, and we'll cover it the next time as of your requests. I've never thought about that. How about you? I've never thought about that. How about you?
I've never thought about that. I've never thought about that.
Never thought about that. Never thought about that.
Now, let's move on to the next section of our lesson today. What would you say when you don't understand someone or miss something during the conversation? The first expression you can use off the top of your head is, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. This is a polite and casual way to acknowledge you missed what they said. It's a good all-around phrase to use in most situations. Saying sorry shows you're not trying to be rude, and, I didn't catch that, simply explains the issue. It invites them to repeat it without feeling awkward about having to speak again.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
The next phrase is, could you please repeat that? This is a more formal way to ask someone to repeat themselves. It's appropriate in situations like meetings, lectures, or when you're talking to someone you don't know well.
Could you please repeat that? Could you please repeat that?
I'm sorry, Summer, could you please repeat that? I'm sorry, Summer, could you please repeat that?
Next, we have, can you say that again? This is a very casual way to ask someone to repeat themselves. It's simpler and more direct than other options. Now, pay attention to the pronunciation here. Did you notice how the words, that, and, again, are linked together? That's right. This is also another linking feature we're going to talk about more in next videos. So, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you won't miss out on this extremely interesting and practical topic.
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Now, the next phrase we have is, I don't get it. This is a more direct way to say you don't understand. It goes beyond simply missing a word and expresses a complete lack of comprehension.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble understanding you. This phrase acknowledges your difficulty while being polite. It suggests there might be an issue like background noise or speaking speed affecting your understanding. Another expression here is I'm sorry. I'm not following you. This phrase is formal and signals others that you're lost in the conversation. It might prompt the other person to rephrase their point or provide more context to bridge the gap in understanding. Let's listen to some more examples in fast speech.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you. I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you. I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Alright, I know that's a lot to go over, but I'm sure that those expressions will definitely come in handy whenever you're feeling stuck in English conversations. Now, moving on to the next situation. Imagine you're explaining the rules of a new board game to your friends. After going through the steps, and you want to check if your friend understands everything, what can you say? Or what would you do if you think someone doesn't understand what you're trying to say? Well, the first expression you can use is, am I making sense? This is a casual way to gauge the listener's comprehension of your explanation. It's helpful in informal conversations with friends, family, or colleagues where there's a friendly atmosphere. Saying, am I making sense, shows your concern about clarity and opens the door for the listener to ask clarifying questions or ask you to slow down if needed.
Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Am I making sense?
Does that make sense? This is a more formal way to check understanding. appropriate in situations like presentations, meetings, lectures, or explaining something to someone you don't know well. Does that make sense? Is polite and invites the listener to clarify any confusion they might have before you move on.
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Let me try that again. This expression suggests you want to rephrase something specific you just said, not your entire explanation. It's helpful if you stumble over your words or feel your initial explanation wasn't clear enough.
Let me try that again. Let me try that again. Okay, let me try that again. Okay, let me try that again.
What I'm trying to say is, this is a good way to rephrase your point in a clearer way. Acknowledging that there might have been some confusion. It allows you to present your idea from a different angle or provide additional details that might make your message more understandable. Let's listen to some more real examples from movie clips.
What I'm trying to say is, you're young. What I'm trying to say is, you're young.
What I'm trying to say is, I would like it if we were friends. What I'm trying to say is, I would like it if we were friends.
So there you have it. These are just a few tips to help you get unstuck in a conversation and keep the English flowing. Feeling stuck in English conversations can be frustrating, but it happens to everyone. This video equips you with practical tips and easy-to-use phrases to navigate any situation with confidence. Learn how to break the ice, overcome awkward pauses, and keep conversations flowing naturally. Remember, the most important thing is to keep practicing and having fun. The more you speak English, the more comfortable you'll feel. Don't let the fear of getting stuck hold you back. With a little practice and these helpful tips, you'll be having smooth and enjoyable conversations in English in no time. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more English learning videos. Also, leave a comment below and tell me, what other English topics would you like to learn about? Don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know what other conversation challenges you face. Thanks for watching, and see you guys in the next video.